Guys, you would be surprised what's considered a winter car. Not everything that has all-wheel drive is really appropriate for winter driving, especially hybrids. Many of them have not so much ground clearance like this one, but there's some good news. This does have an all-wheel drive system that seems to work pretty good in snow, and I'm going to show you that later on in this video. Now, what you're looking at here is a 2023 Lexus UX 250h, and it has the F-Sport handling package. Ha! Yes, there's a lot to be said about that. Behind the camera is my buddy Andre. Thank you so much, Andre, for helping me out. This car is obviously blue, but there are a couple new things for this year, and that includes this blacked out roof, which honestly, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I actually really think this is a good looking car, but I don't think it's an SUV. They classify this as a crossover. I see it as a wagon. See that ground clearance? It's a little bit higher than your average station wagon. Now I have a cell phone here, it's an iPhone. Let me show you here, just for contrast. That is just enough ground clearance to make it passable in snowy conditions. Now, we recently had about half a foot, maybe 8 inches drop in the Boulder area, and this car has no problem getting through that. Not a big deal at all. But if it was like the snowstorm we had last week, where it was a foot of snow, this vehicle, like others, would struggle a little bit. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to pop the hood because this has a hybrid system that allows it to get 39 mpg combined. Now, if you think about that, 39 mpg is really good. All right. Now, you're wondering about the powertrain? Maybe you're wondering about the platform. Well, this vehicle shares a lot of its components with other Toyotas. And that would include the Prius, but not the newest Prius. And I'll explain that in just a second here. Hold on. There we go. There it is. Okay. That's a really pretty looking engine cover on it, isn't it? So what you're looking at here is a dual motor hybrid system. And it has a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4. And it puts out 181 horsepower combined. That's at 6,000 RPM. Just so you know, the new Prius has more power. So it doesn't have the newest powertrain. However, this is the only powertrain you can get with this vehicle. They no longer do the smaller, less powerful powertrain. So 181 horsepower, according to Toyota, is good for an 8.3 second 0 to 60 time. This has all-wheel drive. That 0 to 60 was with front-wheel drive, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close. And it has what's called an eCVT, continuously variable transmission that is electronically controlled. That is the way Toyota likes to talk about it. But essentially, it works like a CVT, and that is exactly what Toyota wants in a vehicle like this because it's all about efficiency. Even though it looks like and kind of acts like a performance car from time to time. Once again, that's something I'll show you a little bit later. Okay, so now you've seen the engine bay, which I do think is actually kind of pretty. We're going to close this. Now, normally I wait until the end of a video to talk about pricing, but I want to get this out of the way right now. And the reason why is because I have the sticker right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Well, that is $47,690. That is MSRP after destination. That is a lot of money. However, you got to think about what this vehicle competes with. There are a variety of German, Japanese, and Korean vehicles that this little Lexus competes with. And this is an entry-level crossover. So let's have a looky at the back while I talk about that, because it's important. They consider this a crossover. What's the one thing you want from a crossover? Cargo space. Not a ton in here because it's a little car. I do appreciate that it has that because a massive hatch like that would be really hard to lift on your own. I'm being facetious. I know that some people who are into luxury vehicles are like, oh, that's necessary. And I agree because it's cool. So it competes with the BMW X1, the Audi Q3, the Mercedes-Benz GLA, the Volvo XC40, amongst others. This backseat area here, though, is tiny. Now, this bag...
Sorry, that's mine, Nathan.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it, bro. The thing is that bag was there for scale anyway. Very small area. This is 17 cubic feet of cargo space, which isn't a lot. However, I want to show you this. There is more cargo space down here, a lot more.
Whoa.
Yeah! And this area here is storage. Okay, there's storage further down. Yeah, there it is. Here. Now, all this here, that's where you hold your tire patch kit. And of course, your extraction ring, that's what I like to call this in case you do get stuck in snow. You can get pulled out because there are no other hard points to where you can do that without destroying the vehicle. Okay, but, and I do like having this extra space here. Now, if you fold these seats down, they do fold fairly flat. Let me show you here. Okay, I can't show you on that side because the seat's too far back. Let me pull the seat forward just to show you, at least on one side, how flat it can go. And it's really important because you suddenly open everything up to over 40 cubic feet of cargo space. There we go. That is enough to get in a bicycle. That is enough to get in some fairly large objects, but it's the opening that's a bit of an issue there. Other competitors have larger openings, so this is considered a small car. The back seat is another issue, which I will show you in a minute, because once again, small car. But let's look at the back real quick. Up. Okay, remember I was telling you guys about its horsepower, 181 horsepower? Well, it does have an electric motor powering the rear wheels. Now, this is something that Toyota kind of pioneered, right? And the power that goes to the rear wheels here, little electric motor that puts out, wait for it, 7 horsepower. That does not add to the total of 181. It's just part of the equation. Even without this little electric motor, it wouldn't matter. But it does give you over 40 pound-feet of torque. And the reason why this is important is this is not something that's going to be a performance upgrade. This is strictly to get you out of sticky situations, which I shall demonstrate in a few moments. Now, how about we hop into the interior real quick, because the big changes are inside. Come on, let's have a look. Aha! Now, if you angle the camera just down here to this, see this section here? This used to be a touchpad, which everybody hated. And I gotta admit, I was one of them. I really disliked it. The touchpad worked in conjunction with the infotainment system, and it just wasn't the best thing out there. So they replaced it with this, which are nice large buttons for your seat controls and steering wheel control for heat and cooling. But how do you control the screen? Well, let me show you. They replaced it. Toyota has gone out of their way to use this new system, which we've seen in a Tundra and a bunch of other vehicles. 12.3 inches of goodness. Check this out. There it is. That is a big screen. Make sure the volume's down. We're not going to talk about all of the issues that some people are having with these things and whatever. Oh, dear God, but not watercolors. Okay, I'll take that. This is a very clear screen, very easy to use. Volume control is right here, which is very nice to have. There is no way to use a knob to control your radio and or XM stations, which is kind of a bummer, but you can scroll through them. The overall use of the screen, better than the old one. And once again, you don't have that pad here. Toggle switches, thank you. This is all for your heating, air conditioning needs. This is very easy to use. They redid this space here as well, so there's a little bit more room for your cups. And then you have this angled area here, which is for wireless charging. USB-C doubles right here. So overall, this has been updated to a little bit more conventional screen that you would be used to today, as opposed to Toyota's old school stuff, which was way too old. A couple other things to talk about with the interior before we talk about comfort, and that is that a majority of your controls for sport and all these other things are right here. If you look at this screen, it'll actually tell you the different modes that you're going into. We will talk about those as we drive the vehicle. And then on this side, essentially traction control. You can turn it on and turn it off. That's it. That's all it does. But they're still cool, right? They look cool. One final thing I wanted to talk about before I hop into the back seat and show you discomfort is parking switch is way down here. Okay, this is it. Fortunately, you really don't have to use it because it automatically kicks in when you put the car in park and it automatically disconnects when you put it into drive. That's important to know. But it's still here in case you were wondering. Okay, so what about comfort in the back? Because comfort in the front, obviously great. Because of the package that it has, you have these really cool lined leather sports seats. But you really don't need them because you're not going to be flying around the corner at 100 miles per hour. This thing won't do that. But let's go back here. Okay. Andre, you're going to have to open that door. Now, I am not the tallest person at TFL. I'm essentially underneath Andre and Roman in terms of height, 6'1" when I'm wearing good shoes. And I'm going to tell you right now, with the seat back where it is, I'm going to have a hell of a hard time fitting in here. Okay, I got one foot in. I could probably get the other foot in here, but it's going to hurt, and I don't want too much pain. Headroom's actually not terrible for such a small vehicle. Legroom, no bueno. But it does have this. I like this. Rear vents, and of course, more ports for USB-Cs. Yay, that's great. It says that it can hold 3 people in the back of this. It just, no, you can't. Maybe really, really small people or little kids, yeah. But otherwise, absolutely not. Remember I was telling you I was going to talk about the price before the end of this? Let's go in the front and I'll show you why. Lexus builds another vehicle called the NX. The NX is larger, more comfortable, frankly speaking, it handles just as good, but it's more powerful. This vehicle, as equipped, $47,690. You can get the NX for this price, a couple different trims as well. It's kind of a bummer. Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to show you. You notice there are no switches or buttons for locking the rear or anything like that. Yeah. All you can really do is put this in normal mode and accelerate and let the computer figure out traction for you, which is exactly what I'm going to do while you guys watch. Now hopefully, oh, they're playing Respighi. Perfect. I will play Respighi as I drive. No, I can't do that because the family of Respighi will charge us ridiculous money. And then we have to pay, and then this video, and you know how it is. Okay, Andre, I'm going to just do a quick little lap around you and hopefully show how the rear end kicks in and moves the car forward. Because once again, it is all-wheel drive, but very little power going to the rear. Let's do this. Can you shut that door?
Sounds good. And I'll show kind of close-up of the wheels. How about that?
Yeah!
Okay.
I disabled traction control for now, just to make the wheels spin a little bit. But knowing Toyota, it's probably not completely disengaged. Okay, here we go.
It's quiet.
So I'm going to do a little turn here, and hopefully the car will figure out what it's supposed to do. Yeah. So the front end slid a little bit, and the rear end, I could feel it kick in, a little tiny bit of torque moving me, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. It's kind of idiot-proof. Yep. So the traction control, even though I disabled it, is totally on. Just slightly dilute. Yeah. Not a whole lot going on here. I can hear the ABS in the front kicking in. That's that noise you're hearing. And that is essentially the vehicle trying to figure out why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, there you go. It works. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. So Andre did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was I was being really violent with the accelerator, making the wheels spin, and the rear end kicked in and pushed me through those problems.
Yeah, but I didn't see like it took some time, it seemed, for the rear to actually help you out. Is that what it felt
It's
like?
exactly what it felt like. So I could feel the front end, scampering, and then it would just move forward regardless of what it was doing. So it figured it out and got it moving. Why don't you come on in here, and we're going to close out this video with a little bit of a drive. Because despite the fact that it is limited in terms of its size, and it's a little bit on the pricey side, these seats are remarkably comfortable up front, and it drives nice. But there's something else that's really important that you guys need to actually hear. Okay, now, I'm going to move this. See, it says Sport. I'm in Sport S+. One of the things it does, aside from change the digital readout and all this other stuff, let's put traction control back on so we don't kill ourselves. Now, see, look at that. Oops, sorry. Okay, there's one mode. There's the other mode. See that? Isn't that cool? There's normal mode. I do like that. Okay, now we're in Plus. Now listen.
Can you hold this for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. I want you guys to listen as Andre takes his microphone and he's going to put it near the speaker. Now, because this car looks really sporty and it looks really fast, I think the Toyota/Lexus people wanted it to sound fast. Now, it's a hybrid. It's not going to have much of a sound at all, especially a little four-banger like this. But they wanted a sound, right? So give me a second. I'm going to pull onto the road. By the way, I really like the suspension setting on this vehicle because despite the fact that it's small, it has upgrades from Yamaha, I believe, that allow it to really corner well, but it's not a sports car, not at all. Okay. So what they did, it's going to take a minute, sorry guys. What they did was they put in an augmented sound for the exhaust note. But it's not a real exhaust note. As a matter of fact, it's completely fake. Okay, you're listening? Here we go. I love it. That's great. Okay, so what you're listening to is essentially a piped-in sound that comes directly through the speakers. That sound has nothing to do with the actual vehicle performance. It's not connected to anything mechanical. It is just there to give you a little bit of auditory pleasure, I guess, for some people. Some people want to hear that. Some people just don't understand that this essentially sounds like an 80s or 90s retro video game. Andre and I were talking about this earlier. Can you believe that? It sounds like Cruising USA or one of those video games. So I just wanted you guys to hear that. All in all, for the price, as long as you don't have backseat passengers and don't have a lot of cargo, this thing handles quite well. I'm going to go around this corner at a fairly good clip. And so, Andre, hold on a little bit, but I think you're going to dig this. Check this out. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I could feel that.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of lean. There's just enough give. It's very, very nice, the settings. And this is a vehicle that has the same platform as like the CHR and some other Toyota products like the Corolla Cross. So considering the bones and everything else that's in this thing, I really do like it. I just wish that it had more space. I don't know how I feel about the fake exhaust note, but it's kind of cool. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Thank you, Andre, for helping me out. Curious to what you think about it.